You're listening to Wehman, Brunson, and Vernuccio, Inside the News. Let's go back to Guy, Ben, and Frank.
Welcome back to the program, Inside the News. This is our Picking Up the Pieces segment, and we've got a lot of little pieces yet to pick up here. We've got Ben Brunson. He's in the bottom middle. He's the author of the Falstaff, Enigma, and Esther, Sling. You can find those books at Amazon.com and BenBrunson.com. Frank Vernuccio, he's with the American Analysis of News and Media and also the Minute Report for America. You can find more about Frank and what he does at usagovpolicy.com. We've always wondered what really Frank does. Okay, Ben. What was that, Ben?
He's a pundit.
Yeah, a pundit. All right. The premise for Picking Up the Pieces, and we got to get to this, COVID Part 2. And now that the Democrats are now in power, it's not as easy as it looked, because when Trump was there, they were blaming him and they were picking him apart, but he got Operation Warp Speed, which now we have the vaccine. It's not as easy as it looks, is it, Ben?
Trump had two policies that he put in place. One, he respected the rights of states to decide how to run their state. So he supported governors, but he let governors choose what they wanted to do. Some governors like Ron DeSantis of Florida made the right choices, and some like Andrew Cuomo of New York made the wrong choices, and Gavin Newsom, and continue to make the wrong choices in crushing their states' economies in the process. But what Trump could control, he controlled quite well. He is the person responsible for Operation Warp Speed. If there was one person who drove that and drove the entire process to get us where we are now, where we have multiple working, effective vaccines available in tens of millions of doses. We've already dosed over 50 million Americans. We're at a pace, we're closing in on 2 million doses a day being administered in this country. Donald Trump made that happen. That's the reality. Now, you can argue over some of the rollout and some of the implementation down at the final mile type of level, but Donald Trump is responsible and deserves the credit. Now there's blame being pointed fingers. Again, New York is in the state it is in because of Andrew Cuomo, pure and simple. He made the choices that put New York and Mayor de Blasio to this perpetual lockdown nonsense that these idiots have put in place and wrecked their economy in the process and their tax base. And now they somehow want to blame Trump when Trump was trying to argue against their policies from the jump. So this doesn't hold water. And, Biden should shift policies. He could simply just declare victory and start running victory laps. And that would be a much smarter policy. But again, the Democrats are trapped into this dark winter theory. Everything is doom and gloom. Let's hold on to emergency power all we can. And the American people are paying the price for that.
Frank, as Ben was going on there, I was thinking to myself, well, just tell us how you really feel about this, Ben. Okay, Frank, it's your turn.
You've listened to Joe Biden talk about how nothing happened during the Trump administration that was good in terms of COVID, despite the fact that he himself received the vaccine before he became president.
Yeah.
You have to wonder whether Biden is just being a dirty politician when he says everything was terrible under Trump, or whether the man honestly forgot. When it comes to Biden, these mental capabilities and his policy choices sometimes confuse the listener as to whether he's actually forgetting about what happened the past 4 years, or whether he just is simply obscuring it for personal political gain. Look, as Ben said, Operation Warp Speed was a uniquely Trump type of venture. Put the private sector in the lead, put states' rights in the lead, but with the assistance and the guidance and the overall coordination of the federal government. It was a mammoth success. No one anticipated a vaccine being developed in that short a period of time. Go back to the congressional record, listen to the speeches of Democrats, go to the press record, look at the mockery that the president received saying, oh yeah, this warp speed, this is never going to work. Yeah, you're going to deliver a vaccine in 1 year, not going to happen. It's there in the record, the congressional record, the reports of the media, and yet it's there. I haven't seen an apology from congressional Democrat representatives. Have you, Guy?
No, I haven't. This is Inside the News, and we want to thank you. This is program number 298. Yeah, that's right. 298 weeks we have been on the air, and we're in our sixth year of broadcasting. We want to thank all of you, our listeners. Pass the word along. You can also watch us on the AUN TV network and on YouTube, our YouTube channel, WBV Inside the News. Ben Brunson, he's the author of the Falstaff, Enigma, and Esther, Sling. Find those books at benbrunson.com and amazon.com. Frank Vernuccio with the American Analysis of News and Media, the Meta Report for America. And you can find him at usagovpolicy.com. We're going to take a quick time out. We're going to be back. We're going to put a bow on this program. We'll be back.
Getting to the heart of the matter. Here's Guy Wehman, Ben Brunson, and Frank Vernuccio with more Inside the News.
Well, welcome back to the program Inside the News. Glad to have you with us, and we have a good time in between these commercial breaks. And let's welcome back Ben Brunson. How you doing, Ben?
I'm doing great. Welcome back, guys. Welcome to our audience.
All right, and Frank, welcome back yourself.
Great to be with you.
All right, agriculture. With all these new policies that Biden is now going to be instituting, it's going to take a little bit of a hit at the agricultural end of things. And even though Frank has got his pitchfork and he's pitching hay to the cows and everything, we might feel it in the grocery stores, Frank.
Well, one absolute factor that's going to make you feel it at the grocery store is that when you raise the price of energy, as Biden has absolutely been pell-mell in doing, it's going to affect every sector of the economy, including and perhaps especially agriculture. So when you're seeing those costs to farmers go up, you're going to pay for it. There's this lack of understanding of economics on the part of progressive Democrats who now are totally in charge, that you can't raise the cost of producing a product without that product costing more to the consumer who uses it. And I think that lack of knowledge of basic economics, which so runs the progressive movement and the Democratic Party at this point, is going to really take a wallop at consumers starting now and getting worse in the future. Just go to your local gas pump. You've seen since January 20th, the price of gas skyrocket. That's going to get worse and worse, particularly when the Democrats continue to push the myth of green energy. Right now, at most, about 16% of any energy produced can come from green energy. That's not just a question of we haven't developed green energy. That's about all it can realistically do with current technology. Maybe 100 years from now or 50 years from now, we're lucky when we get fusion power, something along those lines, it can change the nature of the game. But right now, this attempt to make energy more expensive in the hopes that it'll wipe out fossil fuels is the worst type of mistake you can possibly make, not just financially, but in terms of the lives of people across the country.
All right. I really do feel for the farmers, and I have some good friends who are farmers, and there's a lot of farm country down here. And Ben, I know you have some thoughts before our hot buttons go.
Well, look, one of the great successes of the Trump administration was attacking the volumes and reams of regulation that impact our economy and throw a wet blanket over economic activity. It's just a fact. Regulations tend to evolve over time to support big companies that can have groups and staffs that are dedicated to responding to regulatory issues and hurt small businesses which can't afford to fight regulatory battles. Trump tried to at least arrest the development of that, and in many cases reversed.
There are a few issues that really, I think, inflame people who talk a lot or who publish a lot to the point where you just see red and say, this has got to stop. When President Biden described the concentration camps in China as just a different cultural norm, one of those moments was reached. There has never been a more despicable comment by an American president than what Biden described as concentration camps as being a different cultural norm. I think at that point in time, you had to reach the conclusion that this administration, the Biden administration, is morally and mentally unfit to hold office.
Wow. That's powerful stuff. Ben, yours.
Less powerful, but very significant news this week. Hardly covered at all in this country. Australia went after Facebook to force them to pay for news that they use and monetize. Facebook pushed back by trying to deplatform Australia. Facebook has blinked. They have given in, they've caved into the Australian government. They've declared defeat, and the Australian government's going to get their way. What's significant about this? It shows that you can take on these massive technology companies that think that they can do whatever they want. They can censor people or do whatever the heck they want to do, and they're above the law. There is a pathway to address this. Australia just showed that and proved it, and Republicans need to get on board with some more aggressive action to make these platforms truly neutral.
Wow. Really good stuff on the hot buttons. Thank you so much, Frank.
Great being with you.
And Ben, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you to our listeners.
And if you've missed any of the program, you can find us on YouTube, WBV Inside the News. Thank you to our radio affiliates, and thank you for listening. Until next week, stay safe and strong.
You're listening to Wehman, Brunson, and Vernuccio, Inside the News.